You are listening to the People-Centric Podcast, where we talk through the toughest challenges that people face at work and give practical advice to fixing those challenges. Thanks for joining our movement to create workplaces that are happier, healthier, aligned, and empowered by putting people at the center of all that we do. Hello, people-centric leaders. This is Diana Royalty. I'm on today with Bethany Taff. Hi, Bethany. How are you? She waved.
I just waved. I'm doing excellent. Glad to be here.
Excellent. And Stephanie Anderson. So you have the three women A team. Well, Ashley's not here.
Oh,
I know, we're
but-
just missing Ashley to complete our women A team.
Our women A team. Yeah. But we have a fun topic. And as we were talking about this today, we all got fiery in different ways. So be ready for this spicy topic, which is the topic of AI work slop. All of us were talking about how we have gotten things from people that is 100% AI generated, copy, paste, sent without any human thought behind it. And the ones that we've gotten, we don't appreciate it. So we thought we'd talk about this today and see what you guys think about it and just sort of talk through some of the things. So Stephanie, you got a little fiery.
I will start. I will try to avoid filibustering and getting too much on my soapbox, but we started talking about this and immediately, and if you want to watch this on YouTube, our faces are going to be great, I'm sure. But I was immediately like, blech, I do not like ChatGPT. I am an anti-ChatGPTer. And I'll say this, I'm going to try not to say, try not to soapbox here. It's not that I have a problem with AI as a technology necessarily, but a large piece of it is what we're going to talk about today. I feel like it is really hurting our critical thinking abilities as a culture. I do not like that people are using ChatGPT as Google and it knows everything about you. And I'm someone who I like my privacy. I go to links to protect my privacy. But also, I really hate the environmental impact piece of ChatGPT and just any AI systems and all these massive data centers that are being built in our communities and the use of electricity and water and resources. I just don't like it. And so personally, I do not use ChatGPT. I'm maybe on it a couple times a year. I choose not to use it. So that's where I'm coming from here, folks. I don't like it.
Well,
yeah, but Bethany,
just the boomer then. That's what I think.
Yeah. If I am boomer, let me boom today, I guess. I don't know.
Here, boomerang. Anyways. Yeah, no, because me and Diana were both like, listen, I do not hate ChatGPT. I do not hate AI. I do see the problems or potential problems with it. I see how it can make us rely too much on it and not use our brains for really simple things. But I also do think that there are ways that it can pull a lot of data and information to help me think about something or help me kind of solve a problem or help me think about how I want to create something or work through whatever it is. But I think our whole conversation has been but where's the stopping point of what do you just take it and turn that around, or do you do something with it, do something more with it? Do you add to it or remove things from it or edit it or whatever? How do you use it, I think is the point. But I mean, this conversation started too, because I think not only have we interacted with it in the workplace, but Diane, I think you had read a few articles too, and there's they're using this term. What's the term?
Workslop,
which is Do you want to define it?
Yeah, so what they're saying is that people are using ChatGPT, asking a basic question or even a complicated question, and instead of, to your both of your points, instead of using critical thinking and looking at the answer, they're just copy and pasting and sending it on. Which in turn then makes the person receiving the information have to look at it, edit it with their own thoughts and abilities, understand something different, pull things out of it, or start over, right? And so what it's doing is everyone keeps saying like AI is going to save us time, it's going to save us time, but in these instances, it's creating more work for people. And I think we've seen it a few times. Not our team doesn't do this to people, but we've had it done to us,
Yeah.
and I hate when I get something that is very obviously AI, emojis and all. Because then I have to go through and be like, okay, let's think critically about this. Let's use our own human brains and let's edit out the things that don't apply. I don't know. There's a lot that goes into that, but the work slop part of it is really what got us interested in this topic.
Yeah, and it said like 40% of people have received Workslop in the last month. And then I think it was just kind of talking about the specific article. This was on CNBC specifically. But to your point, Diana, it's like, okay, well then it's causing people to kind of have to take that thing and adjust it, or it's just annoying. It's adding time to either saying like, either I have to fix this myself because it's very obviously not, it's just sloppy. It's not, it doesn't work specifically for the problem we're solving. It doesn't speak directly to the client that we're working with, whatever. It's just not applicable. Or it's just kind of like, so either I have to do it or I have to send it back to the person who did it and say like, you have to fix this, or like maybe we just don't have time. So we just like let it slide and move on. And then that impacts like the quality of your work and your interactions with the people that you're working with. And then it's like, so it's like, okay, it actually is like wasting our time, or sometimes it's just annoying, or it's maybe like impacting how we view the people that we're working with, because then we trust them less, or we feel like they're less creative or whatever it may be, or less maybe intelligent. Like we don't see them utilizing their own brain to be able to do the work that they have in front of them. So anyways,
Yeah. And they're like, it's not always accurate. Like, I think that's the other thing that a lot of people may not know about, like AI and ChatGPT specifically, is like, there's a real like issue with what it pulls is not always accurate information for you, especially in like research and things like that. Like, it's looking for the words you asked it to look for in sometimes like articles or research things. And so it might pull something from the front part of an article that it was talking about, oh, we thought it was this, but then it didn't pull from the end of the article that was like, well, then actually we found out. Um, and there have been some high profile news stories about this. If you haven't missed this, of even like government officials putting stuff into Chat GPT and pulling reports from that. And then, it will cite the sources for you at the bottom. And somebody went through and cited the sources, and like half of them weren't even real, or it was pulling from studies that had been debunked a long time ago. And so it's called hallucinating. It's where, like, if AI can find enough pieces of information that make sense, it puts them together. And now any human being wouldn't pull those connections because you would see the discrepancies between them. Your brain would notice, like, oh, well, this doesn't necessarily correlate to that, or this, because this is true doesn't mean this is true. And like, that's the part of AI that it's still not good at. And to your point, Bethany, of like, so then when you get that work slot from somebody and you can see, because I think everybody's getting really good at identifying like AI in writing, especially. Like, it doesn't sound quite human. Something's just a little off with it. And especially if you're using Chat GPT, it has a very specific formatting that it uses to pull information. Like, you can always tell. But then we get it, and then it feels, again, it just feels like you didn't really put time toward it. So it can feel like annoying or even frustrating of like, gosh, like, did you really even put thought towards what we talked about and what I asked you to do? How important is this to you if you're not willing to dig into it? And then sometimes it's pulling stuff that's like, it's just kind of nonsense. Like it doesn't really make sense or it's not quite accurate in what it's recommending or what it's putting together. And so, yeah, I mean, I think slop is a strong word, but in my mind at least, like it's totally the appropriate word because it's lacking a little bit of that like true critical thinking piece and like really evaluating something as a whole versus like this one sentence good, this sentence good, this sentence good. That doesn't make for like a great paragraph, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And to your point, I saw this exercise done with some high school students a couple weeks ago where the teacher had like 5 topics and said, Chat GPT, one of these 5 topics that you know the most about. And it was like Pokemon and skateboarding. And like, I don't know, there was like 5 topics. And so as the student, you chat GPT this on the topic you know the most about. And then she said, now tell me everything in the summary that is wrong. Because you know about this. So tell me everything that's wrong. And everyone found something that was wrong in the summary. And then the teacher said, like, remember that when you go and do something with ChatGPT, it's not always going to be right. I keep using the example the other day. I used Gemini to like Google something. I Googled how old is Will Ferrell, and I just happened to use Gemini. And the Gemini summary said Will Ferrell's 34 years old. And I was like, bro, I'm 40. There is no way that Will Ferrell is 34. And what I think happened is that I'm pretty sure Elf came out when he was 34. And so, like, there's a ton of articles about him being 34 at the time he made Elf. And so, like, but the thing that popped up said Will Ferrell's 34. And if I had not used my human brain to think through that, I would just be like, oh, Will's 34, right? You have to have some discernment and some like understanding of what you're asking this thing, and then recognize that it is not accurate a lot of the time in a lot of situations. And so I think I'm most concerned with like the discernment part of it, the problem solving part of it, the critical thinking part of it. And then Bethany, I love your point about how when you get this information, then you start to question your coworkers, like, and think maybe they're not as intelligent. I know that the people I have gotten stuff copy and pasted from, I'm like, you're kind of dumb and kind of lazy. And those are just the things I'm putting out there for you.
Yeah. Right. And I think it's like if you're a manager too, like just being, if you're receiving work maybe from employees who you're like, that's gotta be like, it's gotta be ChatGPT. So it's like, how do you start entering even those kinds of conversations as a leader to be like, hey, did you use ChatGPT for this? I don't want to insult you, but it looks a lot like ChatGPT. So it sort of impacts those kinds of things. And then obviously any type of, if you're sort of like giving that work outside of your organization too, how does that impact like your overall like brand reputation and organizational like, reputation and quality of the work? And man, it's like, you just have to be so aware of it. And I think people are not having a ton of integrity on that stuff. And is it going to be totally helpful for them? But I think like Diana, you were talking about the, like, how do you use it? How, like, what kind of prompts do you give to it to make it effective? And like, how can you make it work?
Yeah, so I was recently listening to someone about how to effectively use the AI, and they were saying like a lot of people are using it like Google. You ask it a question, it pops out a thing. But it was say the I can't remember what I was listening to, is some random podcast. But it was saying that like you can set up your prompts in ChatGPT to say, like, don't give me any fluff. I like direct answers. Don't make it overly positive, because ChatGPT, here's another key point for you. ChatGPT wants you to keep coming back to it. All AI. I keep saying ChatGPT, but AI wants you to keep coming back to it. So it's going to tell you that you're brilliant and amazing and your work is great. And it's going to do those things to like feed your ego to keep you coming back. So just remember that part. But you can give it prompts like, look at this website. This is my brand. This is my, you can give it all of these prompts so that it understands you better. But the key to doing ChatGPT is to set it up well and say, like, I have this issue that I'm trying to solve. What questions would you ask me to help me solve this better? Or I'm trying to create this process. How would you go about doing that? And it will, if you're prompting it well, it will ask questions back to you to gather more information to give you a better answer. And I think too many people are just like, is this survey question good? Question mark, and then putting it in there, and then ChatGPT will give you an answer. It will give you an answer every single time. And instead of being really careful about those answers and discerning about those answers, people are just using those answers. So yeah, I think there's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I totally agree with that. And again, I'm very honest, like I'm not a fan of a lot of these AI tools, but I do think part of it is because like they're not being used appropriately. Like they didn't create OpenAI, ChatGPT. It wasn't intended to be like a Google search competitor. It was intended, like how you said, Diana, of like let it help you solve problems. It's not at a point where it can solve things for you. It can't execute things for you. And, Bethany, you said of like, it really is starting to become a quality issue. And I think that is probably what really bothers me the most when I get AI slop from somebody is you can tell like the quality is not up to par with what I know this human being is capable of creating. And that's usually why it frustrates me. And the word that comes to mind for me is like lazy, which is a word I don't like. But it feels like, wow, you just didn't put effort into this and you're willing to accept this level of quality now. And that's what's concerning to me. And like, even like seeing organizations who like for years and decades have talked about our commitment to quality of our product and our commitment to quality in here. And people have quality in their values statements. And then they're all just using AI slop. And I think it is creating tension in the workplace and that companies aren't talking about it enough to create some really clear guidelines around what we should and should not be using AI for at this point. And that, yeah, like it's, you shouldn't just be copying and pasting its response and saying like, great, my work is done because of this. You should be like, Dan, I liked how you asked it, like, ask me questions, like, help me see like a blind spot here. Like, I think that's a good way to use it. I would also counter though, you could probably ask those questions to somebody on your team, or someone else in your company of like, what am I missing in this process? What am I not seeing? Because human beings are still way better at this
I
than
love that
AI
you're like
is.
fiercely people centric,
Yeah,
Stephanie.
yeah, I love that. Well, and it's so good. I mean, because you make a good point because it's like, well, you should actually like make connections with like experts and like get their input, which I think is like also totally speaks to our culture because it's really interesting that we actually have so much possibility to connect to people that maybe are experts in their field that maybe like we wouldn't have had the possibility to connect with otherwise. And also because of the technology, we isolate ourselves so much from people and creating true connections with people. So like because we like the quick answers, the immediate responses, like ChatGPT is so easy because we can just go to that. We don't have to like go through the process of trying to connect with somebody and then ask them those questions and be like, will they respond to me? And how do I build this relationship? Which is like a longer term, benefit instead of that immediate like gratification. I think the other irony when you're talking about like quality, the other irony is I have a friend I was talking to about how she's in marketing, and she was just like, marketing, it's like AI is impacting marketing so much, as it is with so many industries. But what she said was that that because of AI, people's expectations are like out of this world for the content, or like or their marketing tactics, or whatever the outcome is that they're looking for. And that makes a lot of sense to me. So I think it's interesting, because they're like, well, I can put into, ChatGPT what I'm wanting, and it can kind of pop out this thing that I can utilize and put into action, and it's super high quality. And so if I can get that from ChatGPT, I expect something even better from like this marketing agency. But I think then the flaw is it might be high quality, which is true. But I think because of all the things that we're saying, is like, because people are able to tell what's AI and what's not most of the time, not all the time, people are starting to see the difference. I think if you're putting out AI marketing, people are going to trust it less also. And it's going to it might appear really high quality, but I would bet that those results are going to fall off over time whenever it comes to what you're putting out there, because people are going to question like your integrity as a business, or your own creativity, or whatever, if it's like all AI generated marketing content, as just a really specific example. And so I just think it's an interesting concept to think about, how we think about quality and how it's impacting quality, because I think on the short term, when we use it, we think like, oh, this is really high quality. But I think the proof is going to be in the pudding of like, okay, but what's the outcome actually going to look like down the road a little bit on it?
Oh, totally agree with you there. And I mean, maybe this is me just as a skeptic of like, if you're getting all of your strategies for what you're doing from an AI, then like, why do you think it's not giving other people and your competitors the exact same answers and strategies? Like, there's, there's not also this is a strong statement. There's not also a lot of like transparency or integrity with these companies to say how they are using the information that you're giving them, and that they couldn't turn around and if we use the marketing firm example, that they wouldn't just give another marketing firm who's maybe bidding the same project as you the exact same strategies and ideas, because you've already fed it all of those details for that campaign or that specific client. And then, yeah, that's where then your business integrity goes on the line of like, well, did you just ask a computer this? Did you really think about my company and my project? And just some of the confidentiality of it too. I know that's something that we've talked about as a team, is even protecting our clients, protecting our company, intellectual property, of like, there's not a lot of firewall around that right now. If you're feeding your company's information or like intellectual property into it. I mean, people are already seeing that happen, where then their stuff is showing up other places that they never intended it to or gave permission, but because you fed it into ChatGPT to work on something, it can take your ideas and hand them off to somebody else in ways you never probably would have agreed to or endorsed.
Yeah. And I like Bethany was saying earlier, Bethany and I are pretty okay with AI. We think that it will be a useful tool. Stephanie, I think you think that. It's just hard.
I I don't disagree with that statement. I just like I have such a problem with how it's being done, and I think, to be honest, like seeing a lot of these stories about these communities who are having to like fight against these data centers being built in their backyard. We know electricity prices are increasing because of this, because they take a huge amount of resources to run. I think that's just something most people and I don't even fully understand about like how this technology actually works and like what it actually takes to run systems like this. I'm like, I don't want to see our communities overrun buy it, and then all of a sudden we're all walking around and like half of our town are just these giant box buildings so we can all ask ChatGPT what we should make for dinner.
You went dystopia hard, Stephanie.
Listen, I don't know. That's where I'm at with it today. This is the unfiltered.
I get it. I get it.
But I see some of its usefulness. I just really wish, as smart as we're being about some of this, it feels like we're being really dumb about other parts of it. Like we really couldn't come up with a more efficient way to do this except for to have these giant buildings with like a 1 million outlets. I don't know.
Well,
it
I
should
think
be regulated more for sure.
yeah. I think bringing it back sort of to the work side of it, I think that I'm going to call it the people-centric view. Actually, our policy on it is like, yes, use it wisely. Don't input confidential information in there. Whether you have the paid versions or not, we're still saying like, don't put confidential information in there. And our main header, the main thing in our policy says like, always put a human between you and AI. And that means you have to use your discernment. You have to use your understanding of the project itself. You have to use your critical thinking to say, is this accurate? Is this real? Is this good? And so I think that's sort of what I would say is the overall thing that I want to portray with this is that this can be a super helpful tool. It can get you some of the things that you used to take hours to do, right? And now it can like spit out pretty good versions of it. But the answer right there is that it's pretty good. So use your discernment, put a human between you and their work. Don't be a parrot. Don't just blindly copy paste. Take the time because you were going to take more time to create the thing yourself, right? So take a little bit of time to use your discernment and use your critical thinking to really decide, is this good work being put out?
Yeah, it's a like you said, it's a tool, just like any technology that we have, like utilize it as a tool, not a replacement for your own work. And so in the same way that you utilize Google as a tool, we've had to learn lots of ways that we use that. You can't copy and paste the things that you put in an article without sourcing it, or you can't just blindly add statistics to something without the context around those statistics, or, any of those things of like, utilize the tools that you have if they help you, but don't use them as a replacement. I feel like there's one other thing that I was going to add to it and I can't remember what it is. So
I had one other thing. I wanted to say that I think that this is going to become part of everybody's work life, right? Like Google and the internet became part of everybody's work life. And I think this will become that. And I want to caution people to start putting up good boundaries about work-life balance now. I think when the internet happened, everyone was like, oh my gosh, we can work so much more effectively. We don't have to wait on mail. This is so fast, right? This is so great. I can instantly connect. And I think that people at the time sort of thought, well, we'll just work less, right?
Yeah.
We'll work 30 hours instead of 40. We're going to get our time back. And instead, what happened is we just filled more time with more work, right? Because we were able to work more efficiently. So we filled that time. And I think this is going to happen again. And I want to caution people to start now thinking about their work-life boundaries and where they're going to say, I'm done working. This is my productivity level.
That's what I'm glad you said that. That was the thing. I was like, we had this whole conversation about that. We should talk about it because technology, the intent is always that this will save us time, but we always end up increasing the amount of work that we're doing. And so how do we trade that off effectively to say, if we are going to pick up ways to help save us time with integrity, then how do we adjust our time then to actually reflect that we're saving time instead of trying to match that pace that, we could just do more.
Yeah. And just like, I like how you both said that, like remembering at the end of the day, we are all still human beings and we all have our own like capacities. And what we've seen over time, like through humanity and industrial revolution and all of that is like, yeah, there's a lot of tools and technologies that have come in that help us accomplish more. But at the end of the day, you are still just one person. And it's okay to be honest about like what your personal capacity is. And when you're thinking about quality and integrity, to say like, yeah, like I really can't do more than this in a week and maintain some of those like quality integrity standards for myself or for our company. And it's really okay to be honest about those. I think there are going to be companies that will push those lines further and further. And I think we're going to see the quality of their products decrease. I think we're going to see trust in their brands decrease. And they might look like they're winning for a little while. But I think if we look at history and we know that some of these cycles repeat themselves, that, yeah, I think the companies that are going to stand the test of time and are still going to be great places to work are the ones that, like we're saying, is they create some boundaries around these tools. They understand that they still need human beings to do the work that they're doing. They still need human, brains and ingenuity and heart behind all of this. So yeah, I think it's a good call out to make those boundaries really clear of like what really are we capable of doing if we're living really, really true to our values.
Yeah. And I don't think those have to be hours, right? I don't think you have to say, I've worked 50 hours, so I'm good. I think what you have to say is, I've created this level of productivity and accomplished
Yeah.
this many
Yeah.
things, and really tie like real metrics to that work so that you can show that you're productive and effective and efficient and high quality, instead of saying like, but I put in this many hours. Because I think people are going to start asking for more and more hours. I think it's just going to be like, how much can I get from you? And that should be a measure of productivity and quality, and not a measure of hours and time.
Yeah.
So there you go. We're not, well, most of us on this call aren't anti AI, but,
Listen,
but we're cautiously, cautiously moving forward.
yeah, I would just say I think you two are cautiously optimistic and I'm just like cautious. I'm like I don't feel super optimistic about it, but I'm like I am cautiously
New.
proceeding,
Well, new.
like figuring it out. Yeah, but I don't like it a lot right now.
It's
Well,
still
and the other thing I haven't said, but I don't like it. I just feel like I can't ignore it.
Thank you, Diana,
Yeah,
for
I
yeah.
don't I don't love I don't really love technology. I'm kind of burnt out on all of it. I'm getting old, guys. I don't know. I think I'm getting old. I don't know. I'm
You
just
can
sort of
boomer with me today. Yeah.
I've been touching a lot of grass. I'm sort of over it. But I do know that I can't look the other way. There have been some
Yeah.
technologies that I'm like, I can just ignore that. And this, I'm like, it's way too far down the road. I can't ignore it. And I need to know how to use it and how it's going to affect my life. So I'm trying to figure all of those things out and do that well. But I don't love it.
I
Yeah.
like some of it. I like some of it.
You
But yeah,
agree?
I think there's got to be, I think I said this before to you all. I think that there are parts of it that it's like, it's got to change. There's got to be some regulation. I think there's adjustments that have to be made to the technology for it to be helpful and successful, and beneficial to society long term for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah. Well, that's what we have to say on this particular work slop topic. It sounds like we could talk a lot more about what's
Ooh.
happening in this realm. And I guarantee there's experts out there that would completely disagree with us and have completely different ideas and thoughts. And we welcome all of that. But if you guys have any questions about this, or have a topic you want us to discuss, listen to the outro. It will it will tell you how to get a hold of us. But otherwise, we are so thankful that you join us for these every week, and we will listen and hear you guys next week. Thank you for listening to the People Centered Podcast. We are so grateful for you joining us every week. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Also, feel free to share on your social media with everyone that you know. It really does help us. If you would like to contact us, I have put our information in the show notes. Please reach out anytime. We love hearing from you. We will be back next week with a new topic. Until then, be well and lead well.